Hello world, welcome. Hi Todd, how's it
Hi.
going? It's another edition of Lately Live with me, Kate. I'm Lately CEO, and welcome to my home office. Very exciting back there. And welcome to our amazing guest and my friend, Todd Wilms. Hello, Todd.
Howdy, hi.
Howdy, hi. And it is freezing a little bit still on your end somehow, Todd. I don't know why, but if you can just
That's what it is. So
stop moving. Be great. So I'm going to give everybody a quick introduction to Todd before we get rolling here. So Todd has a long list of amazing accolades. One of them is he's a former CMO, so this dude knows marketing, something fierce. He's turned into an entrepreneur. He's got founderplace.co going on, which is how he champions startups, and we'll sort of talk more about that. There's podcasts. He's a speaker, consultant. He's been an Amazon hot list author. We've got to talk a lot about that one especially. And he worked at a long list of really amazing places. PayPal, eBay, can I speak English? PayPal, eBay, SAP, PeopleSoft, on and on and on. So yeah, he's a badass. And I'm so proud to have him here on Lately Live. So hi and thanks.
hi, sure. Yeah, thanks. Wow. I like being called a badass. That's great. Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, super awesome. And I see that you have your book strategically placed behind you, which I love.
Marketer, what can I say?
Very, very, very awesome. So let's start there because I think that's an easy place. So Todd wrote a new book. He actually co-wrote a new book with our friend Jill Stoley. And the book is called Beyond Product: How Exceptional Founders Embrace Marketing to Create and Capture Value for Their Business. So this is my copy, which actually you can see is very much marked up with earmarks and notes because, I mean, I read the heck out of it. But I was inspired because you quoted me, and that was pretty amazing to have like the feature alongside like some pretty heavy hitters. So thanks a lot. So thanks again.
Yeah, of course. You're a marketer, you've got a marketing swim lane. If you're a founder, you're everybody's swim lane. And Kate, you know this, right? You've got to be everything. You're negotiating office chairs, you're negotiating leases, you're building a product, you're bringing people on board, you're head of talent, you're all of these things for your organization. And that's a heady role for anybody to fill. And so I looked at this and said, I can either go and work with people individually, or I can try and do something at scale. And it was one of these, if not me, who, and if not now, when. And it was the perfect opportunity to sit down and start writing a book. And so I tapped into about 70 people within my network and kept expanding and broadening it. And we're so fortunate to have you as part of that book and part of that experience. And we interviewed all these people and we sat down and we learned a ton over the course of a year. And one of the things that I'll say for me that was so fantastic was over the course of writing the book, I changed my perspective because I got to hear from 70 different really amazing people that were CMOs and CEOs and CFOs and advisors and investors and mentors and entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs that have gone through this so many times. I got to hear what their experiences were like, and it changed me fundamentally. And I think that comes through in the book, this rich experience for anybody who's deciding that they want to go in and be their own founder. It's phenomenal. I love it.
So like, I'm going to tell you I want to hear what you learned. I mean, a lot of it in the book, but I want to tell you one of the things that I learned that I loved so much. It's one of my favorite parts about this book. So my favorite quote was that the two, product and marketing, go hand in hand, and one should not exist without the other. And the reason I like this so much is because everybody knows that sales and marketing are girlfriend, boyfriend, but like products, engineering team, they seem kind of, out there but on their own a little bit. And it was revelatory for my tech team. So we bought copies of the book for every single person at Lately to read, not because I'm a narcissist, really, because it was that good. And it reinforced what I've been trying to teach my staff and also, like, you know, my clients, myself in the past or whatever. And it was delightful to be validated. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And the tech team really had an eye opener there. And thank you to you, since then, we've really worked hard to make sure that marketing is not only bleeding into all of the aspects of our company, sales, marketing, customer service, product, engineering, but leading it, not just bleeding, but leading. Here's my quote.
So, and I think this is one of the things that's really important, and I've heard this as a trend more and more with more progressive organizations and earlier startups that are starting to leapfrog some of the competition. The thing that they're doing that I think is so sage is they're putting marketing at the center of the organization. It's a natural fit, right? If the customer is king, if the goal now is to create these great experiences for your customer that your customer can now delight and enjoy in your product and service, when you make that switch and you start thinking about the customer first, well, who has the natural access to customer? And that's the marketing organization. We're the ones out there talking to them, touching them, interacting with them, engaging with them. We're at the trade shows. We're seeing what's happening online and in digital. And so now you've got this opportunity for marketing to change its role and be in the center, and not as a power play, not as a power grab, or to give itself a loftier role in the organization, but to be this sort of hub and spoke and collaborate with all of these other teams. So now marketing builds a relationship with the CIO and the CTO to bring in the tech stack that's going to work well to engage the customer. Now marketing works in well with the product organization so that you're making product initiatives and changes that connect in with what the customer wants. Now you're working with the operations team. You're even working with talent and HR to bring in amazing people into the organization, but also to inspire that next generation of people that come in that want to have that same vision and enthusiasm that the founder has. And so that replicates across the entire organization. And I think marketing is playing a really interesting role in doing that. And I'm so glad you picked that up in the book.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you and I both know that, like, marketing can get a bad rap often, right? People think we just throw parties or something like that. But this book in particular really, I believe, celebrates very much the function of it and makes it clear what the function is at a practical level. So one other quote I just wanted to pull out that was one of my favorites. We all like this one. We actually had a whole Slack channel devoted to this book for a little while. And so it was the one where I forget who the author is, but she talks about, she says this: one great trick, especially for organizations with limited resources, is to think about the Thanksgiving turkey example, originated by analyst Rebecca Lieb, formerly from Altimeter. So what she says is this: think of your content like, well, actually, you tell it. Tell what she says.
In just about every organization that I've been in, I've utilized Rebecca either in spirit or directly, because she's so spot on. She has this idea of Thanksgiving being, or marketing being this like Thanksgiving dinner, where you have, your big meal on Thursday. And for what marketing used to be, that was it. You had this big event. You'd throw a big party, or you'd throw some activity, or you'd go to a big conference. And it was that one thing, and it was an amazing experience. But the way Rebecca's thinking of this is, okay, well, the next day you have turkey sandwiches, and then you make turkey soup, and then you make turkey hash over the weekend, and you have turkey sandwiches again on Sunday. And you take this one meal and you spread it out over 4 or 5 consecutive days. That's how marketing needs to be thought of. You create this one thing, but then think of this as evergreen content. Are you taking that one event and you turning it into a series of blogs? Or
hey, Todd, let me pause you for 1 sec. Folks are saying that they can't hear you. Can you talk even louder into your mic by chance?
Yeah. Am I coming in?
Lean forward.
How about this? I will talk into the microphone. Better?
Yeah, please. Okay,
no,
continue.
I'm glad. So thank you for interrupting. I'd hate to go through this entire thing and not have people be able to hear me. So what Rebecca was so sage about was really just taking this idea of a Thanksgiving dinner and spreading it out over several days. Same thing with marketing. take that marketing content and make sure that it's evergreen, that you're taking all of this great information, this great content, taking your videos and turning those into audio, taking that audio and turning it into blogs, taking those blogs and turning it into social media. And all of that content can live on. And so you don't have to create these great big experiences all the time. And it's a quick, easy way to get great information out there and great experiences in for your customer without being bogged down and having to create these big momentous events. So I love Rebecca's point.
Cool. Yeah, she's great. And do me a favor, talk even louder, because it's definitely better, but feel free to just pretend you're like coming from a stage out there, if that sounds good. Okay, awesome. Oh, cool cup, by the way. That's kind of funky. So I guess what I did want to ask, like, what was one thing maybe that didn't make it into the book that you learned?
Yeah, we didn't specifically talk about it in the book, but one of the things that I thought was really interesting was this idea of spending. Like, you made this comment about marketing and marketing having this idea that all marketing does is spend money. And one of the things that we found that was so kind of fascinating was if you take marketing through a testing period, and we talk about this in the book as, prove the business. It's one of the entire chapters we've dedicated to it, which was this idea that you should go in and instead of hitting the ground running and growing your marketing organization, which is what most people do, take the time to really understand how your customer is interacting with you as a brand and the experience you're creating, and go in and actually do some testing. And once you do that testing, you'll get to a playbook, and that playbook can be very prescriptive, and you can understand exactly, if I spend $10 on a program, I'm going to get $1,000 in revenue. Or if I spend $10 in a program, I'm going to get 15 really great qualified leads into the organization. And once you have that math in place, going back to the CFO, going back to your finance team, going back to your investors is a different story, because you're now not coming in cup in hand like Oliver and saying, more please, like, I have some more money to spend on marketing. You're coming to them and saying, look, if you give me $1, I'll give you 10. I'm going to find more money if you're in a place where you actually can do more of that investing. And so that's one of the things that we found is if you can go in and get a little bit of information and do that testing and get that insight, you're going to have a much richer experience for your marketing organization than if you're just going in, running and gunning like most organizations do, and spending a lot of money and then hoping there's results on the back.
Guilty. Even I'm guilty of that, and I'm a marketer, so it's part of the deal.
We all do that, right? So there's this tremendous tension, especially in Silicon Valley, because we love action. Like, we love the idea of move fast and break stuff, right? Go in and get things done and make stuff happen. And I think one of the biggest challenges for organizations is there's this pressure of, I found my customer, now I've got to go in and win. I've got to go in and conquer the marketplace. It's a zero-sum game. I've got to go in and make this thing happen. And so this rush to go in and do that misses the mark, because you don't know, is your customer, here's one of the things I found with my podcast. My customer listens to my podcast at 4:00 in the afternoon and at 1:00. Now, there's no way I would have expected a 1:00 in the morning person to listen to my podcast. And so I wouldn't have done any broadcasting or advertising around that. But, Kate, your product specifically, here's a little plug, showed me that that's when people digest my information, is at, first hours of the morning. And so now I'm able to go in and connect to my audience in the right way, at the right time, and at the right method, because I've gone in and done that testing. If I hadn't done that, I'd be broadcasting at 8:00 in the morning and nobody would be listening to it. And so if you don't do that sort of little bit of rigor, that pause to say, I'm going to find out exactly how my customers are digesting my information, then you end up just wasting all this time, effort, and energy. And this is why high turnover in marketing, CMOs only last 18 months. Marketing gets this reputation for being an organization that just spends money. And people think of it as this sort of black hole of funding, and that we just throw parties. And that's not what marketing can really do for an organization.
Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on writing. I mean, I think that's like a big factor at Lately. We're interested in how marketers write and how we can improve them. in that area. And it's interesting, like the more I've been hitting that home, that particular value of marketing becomes clear to everybody throughout all the departments, right? So like if you're distilling it way down, right? So one of marketing's job is to write copy or text or work with sales teams on that kind of thing. And suddenly, because it's such a function that so many people hate doing or are bad at or whatever, and they're looking to the marketing department to sort of guide them in this way, you get a lot more cred. So that's my tip to any marketers listening, is like champion your writing skills, and you'll get a little bit of a better nod there.
I think one of the things to that too is this idea of, marketing and brand. I mean, for a long time, organizations thought of brand as just the logo, the mark, the colors, the type fonts, and what the sign looks like on the front of the building. And the way I've heard more marketers talking about this and more organizations talking about it is brand is sort of the strategy, the center of the organization. And so to that point, you were talking about writing, marketing starts playing a role in helping to set the messaging and the content and the direction, and even the emotion of the company, and starts connecting in with talent, starts connecting in with partnerships, starts connecting in with customer service and support. And so it plays this role, this sort of multi-headed hydra that connects in with all these different parts within the organization. And I think it would be, great if more organizations thought about marketing front and center as the sort of heartbeat of the company, because it really does play this broader role than just, we're just the mark or the brand or the logo. And marketing can really play a really great role in being that sort of centerpiece of the organization.
I agree. Hey, so one more thing. Can you do me a favor, Todd? Can you actually go into your podcast microphone under audio in Zoom? And it's really quiet. Go to the lower left-hand corner of the Zoom window where it says audio and see if there's like a volume control there. See if we can make any adjustments. This is the fun of doing live webinars. So you take a moment to do that. I'll entertain the crew. And Brian Kramer is helping us out here on the side, which is super nice of him. Thank you, Brian. You should be able to choose a different microphone there. By the way, everyone, we just switched from Webinar Jam to Zoom, which we're already actually liking much better. So it's good to get these glitches out of the way. And looks like my camera is also messing up. So this is part of the fun. This is like being back in radio again, right? All right, hopefully it's working now. So I got to actually meet Todd in real life, which rarely happens these days with so many people, I mean, I feel like I have a huge network of people that I love and know, but I've never actually seen them in real life, and was lucky enough to meet Todd, I guess it was in the winter time, human being. That's the best marketing there is when you can actually, get to someone in real life, have a chat, and it did really solidify our relationship and our willingness to continue to help each other out, even more. So, I mean, I think that's one of the best marketing things that people kind of forget about, the value of just being in person.
Okay,
it goes a long way.
Is this coming in better?
It's okay. You're getting me echoings of me in the background. And I sound like Snoopy, like that actual wah wah thing. That's kind of amazing to me. So the book we've been talking about, just to remind everyone, is called Beyond Product. It's an incredible handbook that's really meant for everyone on your team, not only the marketing team, but sales, product, engineering, customer service, to understand the effects of marketing and how they ripple throughout the company. Yeah, you might need some headphones, Todd. There you go. And I actually had my entire staff read it, partly because I was featured in it. Thank you so much, along with our friend Brian Kramer, who's here on the Zoom today. Hey, BK. Highly recommend this book. It really talks about marketing in a way that anybody can understand it, which I think is super important because, gosh, marketing can be so confusing, right? And literally how it applies throughout the stages of companies, whether you're just starting out as an entrepreneur or even in some of the later stages. Todd was very careful to map the book out pretty linearly, even though you don't have to read it that way to get value. But I appreciated that you guys did that, because it gave me like an entry point as a reader, and then how marketing was growing with a company. Okay, talk. How did it go?
Okay, so is this better?
I think you sound great.
Bam! I got a bam.
All right.
I got a bam. Awesome. All right, love it. If I got a bam
cool.
from Brian Kramer, things are working well.
We've got a bam, and we've got a question from Brian Kramer too. He wants to know what was the biggest challenge that came out of the book for you writing it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it wasn't so much the challenge. It was here was the thing that was really interesting, is the book that I started out writing and the book that I ended up finishing were two different books. And it was really fascinating. I started off writing this book of like, okay, founders have this gap. I'm going to help them along the way. And one of the things that I ended up seeing was I had a tremendous amount of respect that I gained for founders over the course of interviewing 70 of them through the course of the year, because I realized how hard and how challenging it was. It's that idea of walking a mile in their shoes. The biggest challenge, I think, for entrepreneurs and the struggle that they face is this one thing. I think most people go into it believing that they're creating a product, that they've got this great idea for a product or a service that they're going to create. And what they don't realize is what they're really doing is creating a business. And that business is the infrastructure around the product to help them make that product successful, to help customers actually enjoy that product. And so many of them get in and they focus on the product itself. And that's hence the name of the book, Beyond Product. If you build a great product, that's fantastic, but people aren't going to find it. They're not going to enjoy it. They're not going to be able to experience it. You have to build an organization around that product that will promote it and encourage people to use it. We'll get sales teams to get in front of them. We'll put messaging around it. We'll continue to grow the product. And then we'll have people delight in a product and even experience it after and grow into new products and services you might create afterward. So if you don't think of this as creating a business and you think of it as just, I'm going to create this amazing product. If I build a better mousetrap, or, if I build it, they will come. That's not how it works. And I think entrepreneurs, while they might intellectually know that, don't know that or don't experience it. And so they end up spending all their time and energy on the product and not around the organization they're trying to create.
Yeah, I mean, for us, there was definitely that transition where we had to, and it was a big transition moving from product to then, what happens next, because it takes a big mind shift. And, for a second, you get to celebrate like, oh my gosh, now it's time to unleash this thing to the world. And then, what happens next and what happens next. And a lot of that, you can't, as you know, nobody can map. It's a different journey for everyone. But as long as you have the wherewithal to know that there is the beyond, I love beyond is so good, like Bed Bath and Beyond, just like the best word ever. Beyond, because it means so many things, right? You're on the frontier. It's like this, and it's a mystery. And, knowing that and having the wherewithal to think in that way, and knowing that, frankly, marketing is very much, again, the leader of the beyond, because we all use that and use them because the alternative without them is even worse, right? So, and marketing is responsible for that, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's this thing of putting marketing front and center in the organization and letting marketing do its job, and not think of marketing as this last mile, right? I think a lot of companies still think of this as product creates a product, marketing comes in, they take it sort of the last mile, sales closes the deal, and then service and supports the customer through its longevity. Finance manages the books to see how things are running, and then the funding process starts the whole thing all over again. And think of it as marketing at the center of that. And marketing now has these touch points into all these different parts of the organization, because we're hearing directly from the customer and what the customer wants and what they enjoy. So yeah, I think that's spot on.
And so tell me a little bit about your the Founders Place, foundersplace.co. I want to know, how did that come out of Beyond Product? What was we know a little bit of the inspiration, I guess, but where are you going with that? What's your mission?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. So the biggest thing was, as I was talking to founders and talking to organizations, what I started to realize is that most of them are in a position of being challengers in the space. None of these founders, none of these entrepreneurs, none of these organizations, even big organizations, came into it to be second place. Everybody wants to win their market, to win their category, to be the best, because they believe in the product and service that they have. There's a real passion and an energy behind it. But what I also found was that oftentimes along the way, they sort of missed in terms of connecting with their customer. And so the biggest challenge for them is they've drifted from what their customer really wants. They've become centered on their product or service, or they don't understand the customer's needs, or the customer has moved away from what they're looking for. And so my consultancy, foundersplace.co, really comes in and helps organizations move from challengers to leaders. We find ways to connect in with the customer, get better acquainted with them, help to get the customer's needs, wants, and desires brought first and foremost into the organization. And then we help those organizations go in and leapfrog what the leaders are doing in the space and become leaders in their own markets. And it really came from sitting down and talking to these entrepreneurs and hearing their struggles and their frustrations for not having this amazing product and thing that they've created be first and foremost in the customer's mind. So we come in and help them do that. And so now it's the book, it's the podcast series of people like you that we interviewed along the way, and then coming in and helping these organizations at scale. And it's been a blast. I'm having a great time doing it.
Yeah, I can tell because, I mean, of course, I see you on social and I see all you're doing, and it's impressive. You're everywhere all at once.
Oh, well, I've also got great technology that helps me do that. Let's see, who do I know that helps me get out there on social? Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Yeah, who knows?
Nice. We can do this all day. We'll take it on the road.
No. So I'm going to give Beth Marchand as my marketing director who helped me research some questions to ask you. And I love this one, so I'll just give her credit for doing that. She noticed that you're a fan of Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, which is so cool. And so I love the metaphor that she made, like the relationship of Star Wars and startups, and talking specifically what does the Empire have in common with startup life. So maybe another leading question. I'll let you take that.
Yeah, no. So that was fun. So the thing she's referencing, for those of you that, if you haven't seen my LinkedIn profile, I talk about how I admire Emperor Palpatine because he created a coup within the marketplace. He dominated an entire galaxy with just a small crew of people and was able to overcome and conquer. And so I look at this as entrepreneurs doing the same thing, right? And so it doesn't have to be evil, nefarious, and on the dark side, but you've got to admire somebody who can come in and create that kind of impact in a marketplace. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are doing. They're trying to come in and find a way to take something really small and bootstrap it and make something really amazing. And I admire anybody that does that. And I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I know. It's nice to have you as a partner in crime. And we feel that way about all of our customers lately. And and it's cool because we can watch you, because we're a part of your marketing. And I know you all know this, everyone who is our customer today. We connected with you on social. I connect with you personal on social. So I can see how you're using my tool. Honestly, that's a good way of, my research, but also so that I can participate. And I love seeing so many people being able to build their business and getting to be a part of it the same way you are. Well, in a different way, but similar. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, look, I'm trying to help organizations, not just startups and founders, but organizations of any size at scale, to overcome that hurdle, that frustration of where they are in the marketplace. And so anybody that helps me to get that message out is an advocate and now helping to build that cause. And while this is business, it's also personal, right? This is a personal cause and a mission, and it's something I'm really passionate about. And I want people that are going to help support me, engage with me, guide me. And that's tools, technologies, partners, agencies, people, even just advisors, mentors, and support along the way to do that. And so I've collected a great group of people like you and your product and service to help me go do that. And I want to continue to build that infrastructure that helps me go in and conquer the galaxy.
Does Dun dun dun, Galaxy.
Yeah,
I love the tie back.
Yep.
We had 60 seconds left, so we got to wrap up here. But of course, we have a little bit of flexibility. Is there one galactic tip that you'd like to leave folks with that you've either learned by yourself or that you've learned from other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is entrepreneurs that I see go deep into building their product, service, and company. And look, we're guilty of it. Kate, I'm sure you are as well, where you suddenly create something and you spend all your time, effort, and energy around this one thing, and you become very insular. And you put more hours at work. You live at the office. Everything is about getting this thing off the ground. And that's actually the time where you need to take a step back and bring in this board of advisors and people around you that before you didn't need to network. Now it's essential. And so one of the things I find is take an hour at lunch to go have a coffee with somebody who's going to be that great advisor or mentor to help you grow your business. Go have a drink with somebody once a week and spend a little bit of time talking to somebody else who's going to give you that unique, rich perspective, and start to collect those people around you that will support you and help you grow, and build that board of advisors, whether it's formal or informal. And this is really the time to go do that. And so you've got to craft and carve out some of that time to go do that networking, because otherwise you're going to become very insular and very alone, and you're not going to be able to do this all on your own.
Yeah, that's a great tip. It's hard to forget. I feel like I'm alone a lot. And we'll wrap up here. I wanted to say one thing, which is I was talking about this earlier, is that as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, you often don't get acknowledged for your work. I mean, that's part of the loneliness of it, so you have to rely on other CEOs to kind of get that acknowledgement. Although my team often says to me, "Good job," which is
nice.
I'm always shocked and surprised when they do it, and I don't expect it, and it feels really nice. But it's one of the best things ever. So that's my tip to everyone who's watching who's not an entrepreneur yet, maybe. But go ahead and tell your boss thanks or good job sometime, because it'll make them feel real good. Cool.
Perfect. Well, hey, listen, thank you for having me on today. I know we had some audio difficulties and we missed on getting some great audio, but no, I really enjoyed this, and this was a delightful conversation, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to come back at some point and replay some of this. But thank you for having me on. This was a really great chat.
Thank you so much. Foundersplace.co is where you can get more of Todd. Foundersplace.co, and the book is Beyond Product. Totally worth it. Please buy it. There it is. And I'm Kate from Lately. This is Lately Live. We'll do another one soon. We've got some amazing guests coming up, so don't miss it. www.trylately.com is us. Thanks. Cheers. See you later. Bye.